My name is Rachel Morrison, and I was 29 years old when my mother-in-law looked me in the eye at my wedding rehearsal dinner and told me I was trailer trash playing dress up. You think that pretty white dress is going to erase where you came from? Patricia Ashford said, her voice carrying across the private dining room. My son is marrying beneath himself, and everyone here knows it. You have no education, no breeding, no class. You are just a waitress who got lucky. The room went silent. 50 guests, all dressed in designer clothes, all part of the Ashford family empire, stared at me. My fiancé David stood frozen, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. He did not defend me. He looked at his mother, then at me, then at the floor. I did not cry. I did not scream. I just set down my champagne glass and checked my phone. It was 7:43 p.m. By 7 a.m. tomorrow, Patricia Ashford would understand exactly what trailer trash could do. I did not walk out dramatically. I excused myself to the restroom, my heels clicking on marble floors that cost more than most people's cars. Inside the bathroom, I locked the door and leaned against the cool stone wall. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From rage. From years of swallowed insults, backhanded compliments, and condescending smiles. Patricia had been testing me for 2 years. Little comments about my clothes, my accent, my family. David always told me to ignore it. That is just how she is, he would say. She will come around. But she never came around. She escalated. And tonight, at my wedding rehearsal, in front of everyone who mattered to David's career, she decided to humiliate me publicly. She made one critical mistake. She assumed I was actually trailer trash. She assumed I was powerless. I pulled out my phone and opened an encrypted app. I typed 3 words to my lawyer. Execute Plan Aurora. The message delivered. Read receipt appeared. 3 dots danced for 5 seconds, then vanished. My lawyer knew what that meant. We had been preparing for this moment for 6 months. I splashed cold water on my face, reapplied my lipstick, and walked back into the dining room. Patricia was holding court, telling some story about old money and new money and knowing one's place. I slid back into my seat next to David. He grabbed my hand under the table. I am so sorry, he whispered. She did not mean it. She is just protective. I pulled my hand away. She meant every word, David. And so did you, or you would have stopped her. He looked stung, but he did not argue. Because we both knew it was true. The dinner dragged on for another hour. I smiled. I laughed at appropriate moments. I played the role Patricia wanted me to play, the grateful girl who married up. When dessert was served, Patricia stood and tapped her spoon against her crystal glass. I would like to make a toast, she announced. The room quieted. Tomorrow, my son marries. It is not the match I would have chosen. It is not the family I hope to join with the Ashfords. But David has made his choice, and we will support him. She looked directly at me. Rachel, I hope you understand the weight of the name you are about to carry. The Ashford name means something. It means legacy, excellence, and responsibility. Do not embarrass us. She raised her glass. To the bride. Everyone drank. I did not. I just smiled and checked my phone again. It was 9:15 p.m. In 10 hours, Patricia's legacy would be in my hands. People always ask how someone like me, a waitress from a small town, ended up with leverage over one of the wealthiest families in the state. The answer is simple. I was never just a waitress. I was a con artist's daughter who learned to read people, and then I became a forensic accountant who learned to read numbers. My father ran scams for 20 years before he went to prison. He taught me that the best way to steal from rich people is to let them think you are too stupid to be a threat. My mother taught me that the best revenge is not violence. It is documentation. So when I met David 3 years ago at the restaurant where I worked, I saw an opportunity. Not because I did not love him. I did. But because I knew his mother would try to destroy me, and I needed insurance. I started digging into the Ashford family finances the day David introduced me to Patricia. It took me 6 months to find the crack in the foundation. The Ashford fortune was built on real estate development. Luxury condos, shopping centers, golf resorts. Patricia's late husband had been a genius at acquiring land cheap and flipping it for millions. But what the business magazines did not know, what the society pages never mentioned, was that 40% of that empire was built on fraud. Tax evasion, bribery, environmental violations, falsified permits. I found emails. I found bank records. I found testimony from contractors who had been paid under the table to ignore safety codes. And I found the Smoking Gun, a shell company in the Cayman Islands that Patricia controlled personally, funneling money out of the business to avoid taxes. It was a federal crime. Multiple federal crimes, actually. Enough to send her to prison for 20 years and strip the Ashford name of every dollar it had. I took all of that evidence to a lawyer named Catherine Gray, a woman who specialized in whistleblower cases. Catherine looked at my evidence for 3 days straight. When she finally called me into her office, she was smiling. "Rachel, this is the most airtight case I have seen in 15 years. You could destroy them." I nodded. "I do not want to destroy them. I want insurance." Catherine leaned back in her chair. "Insurance against what?" "Against Patricia Ashford treating me like I do not belong. Against her trying to sabotage my marriage. Against her ever making me feel small again." Catherine smiled wider. "So you want leverage?" "Exactly." We spent the next 3 months preparing. Catherine filed the evidence with the IRS, but we put a hold on the investigation. The paperwork was sitting in a drawer, waiting. One phone call from me, and the federal government would descend on Patricia like wolves. But I did not want to use it unless I had to. I hoped, genuinely hoped, that Patricia would accept me. That she would realize I loved her son and let me into the family. Tonight, she made it clear that was never going to happen. I left the rehearsal dinner at 10 p.m. I told David I needed to go home and rest for the wedding. He kissed me goodnight, still apologizing for his mother. I drove back to my apartment, the one Patricia called barely suitable, and I opened my laptop. I logged into the shared drive where Catherine and I kept all the evidence. I downloaded every file onto a USB drive. Then I wrote an email. It was addressed to Patricia, David, and every member of the Ashford family board of directors. The subject line was simple, regarding tomorrow's wedding. The body of the email was even simpler. "Patricia, you told me tonight that I do not understand the weight of the Ashford name. You are wrong. I understand it perfectly. I understand that it is built on fraud, tax evasion, and bribery. I understand that you have been stealing from your own company for 15 years. And I understand that if I send the attached files to the IRS, your legacy will be prison jumpsuits and asset forfeiture. I am scheduled to marry your son tomorrow at 2 p.m. If you show up and treat me with respect, this email and all evidence will disappear forever. If you do not, I will destroy everything you have built. The choice is yours. Rachel." I attached the USB files. Financial records, emails, contractor testimonies, everything. Then I hovered my cursor over the send button. I sat there for 10 minutes, staring at the screen. This was the point of no return. If I sent this, I would be declaring war on my future mother-in-law. If I did not send it, I would spend the rest of my life being called trailer trash. I clicked send. The email whooshed into the void. I closed my laptop. I poured myself a glass of wine. And I waited. The first response came at 11:47 p.m. It was from Patricia. All caps. "You little bitch. How dare you threaten my family? I will have you arrested. I will ruin you." I did not reply. I just took a screenshot and saved it to the evidence folder. The second response came at 12:03 a.m. It was from David. "Rachel, what is going on? My mother is hysterical. She is saying you are blackmailing her. Please call me." I do not understand. I texted him back. Ask your mother what she has been hiding. Then decide if you still want to marry me. My phone rang 16 times between midnight and 3 a.m. Patricia, David's uncle, the family lawyer. I did not answer any of them. I turned my phone on silent and went to bed. I slept better than I had in 2 years. When I woke up at 7 a.m., I had 43 missed calls and 12 voicemails. I made coffee. I took a shower. I did my makeup slowly, carefully. Today was my wedding day. I was going to look perfect. At 9 a.m., there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole. It was Patricia. She was alone. No driver, no assistant, no entourage. Just Patricia Ashford, standing on my doorstep in yesterday's clothes, looking like she had not slept. I opened the door. We stared at each other. "Can I come in?" she asked. Her voice was hoarse. I stepped aside. She walked into my small apartment, her eyes scanning the mismatched furniture and the cheap art on the walls. The apartment she had mocked 100 times. She sat down on my couch without being invited. "You were serious," she said. "About the evidence?" "Yes." Patricia looked at her hands. They were shaking. "How long have you known?" "About your fraud?" 2 years. "About your shell company in the Caymans?" 18 months. She closed her eyes. "If you release that information, I will go to prison. My children will lose everything. The family will be destroyed." "I know," I said. "Then why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Why are you trying to ruin us?" I sat down across from her. "I am not trying to ruin you, Patricia. I am trying to get you to see me as a person. You have spent 2 years treating me like garbage. You have insulted my family, my education, my background. Last night, you humiliated me in front of 50 people. You did all of that because you thought I was powerless. You thought I had nothing. You were wrong." Patricia looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. "What do you want?" "I want you to stand up at my wedding today and give a toast welcoming me into your family. A real toast. Not passive-aggressive bullshit. I want you to tell everyone that you were wrong about me." Patricia stared at me like I had asked her to cut off her own arm. "You want me to humiliate myself publicly?" "No," I said. "I want you to tell the truth publicly. There is a difference." She stood up, pacing my small living room. "And if I do this, you will destroy the evidence? I will give you the only copies. You can burn them, delete them, whatever you want." Patricia stopped pacing. "How do I know you will not make more copies?" "You do not," I said. "You will have to trust me. The same way I had to trust that you would not try to destroy my marriage. We both know how that worked out." She flinched. We sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Patricia spoke. "You are not what I thought you were." "No," I agreed. "I am not trailer trash. I am the woman who could have sent you to prison but chose to give you a chance instead. Remember that the next time you think about insulting someone because of where they come from." Patricia left my apartment at 10:30 a.m. She did not say goodbye. She just walked out, her shoulders slumped, looking every one of her 62 years. I did not know if she would show up to the wedding. I did not know if David would still marry me after learning his mother was a criminal. But I had done what I needed to do. I had stood up for myself. At noon, my phone rang. It was David. "Rachel," he said. "I need to see you before the wedding. We are not supposed to see each other. It is bad luck that I do not care about luck right now. I care about understanding what the hell is going on." I told him to meet me at the park near the venue. 20 minutes later, I was sitting on a bench, still in my jeans and t-shirt, watching David walk toward me. He looked exhausted. "Is it true?" he asked, sitting down next to me. "Everything my mother told me?" The fraud, the shell companies, the bribery, yes, I said. It is all true. David put his head in his hands. Why did not you tell me? Because I knew you would not believe me. You would have defended her. You always defend her. He looked at me, and I saw anger in his eyes. So instead you blackmailed her. I gave her a choice, I corrected. She could treat me with respect, or she could face consequences. That is not blackmail, that is boundaries. David stood up, pacing. You realize you are asking me to marry someone who threatened to destroy my mother. No, I said, standing to face him. I am asking you to marry someone who refused to be bullied by your mother. There is a difference, David. Your mother has spent 2 years trying to break me. She called me trailer trash last night in front of everyone we know. You did not say a word. You let her humiliate me because it was easier than standing up to her. So I stood up for myself. If that makes me the villain in your story, then maybe we should not get married. He stared at me. Do you love me? Yes, I said. But I love myself more. And I will not spend my life being treated like I am not good enough. David was quiet for a long time. Then he said, my mother is going to give a toast today. She told me she is going to apologize publicly. I know, I said. Did you force her to do that? I gave her an option. She chose to take it. David sat back down on the bench. He looked defeated. I do not know if I can marry you, Rachel. I do not know if I can trust you. I felt something crack in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. I understand. But David, ask yourself this. Who is more trustworthy? The woman who spent 2 years collecting evidence to protect herself? Or the mother who spent 15 years committing fraud and lying to everyone she knows? He did not answer. I picked up my purse. The wedding starts at 2 p.m. If you show up, I will be there. If you do not, I will understand. Either way, I am done apologizing for refusing to be a victim. I walked away, leaving him on that bench. I did not look back. I went back to my apartment and put on my wedding dress. It was simple, elegant, nothing flashy. I did my hair. I applied my makeup. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw someone I was proud of. Not trailer trash. Not a gold digger. Not a victim. A woman who fought back. At 1:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from David. I will be there. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just confirmation. I grabbed my bouquet and headed to the venue. The ceremony space was beautiful. White flowers everywhere, soft music playing, guests filling the seats. I stood in the bridal suite, alone, and wondered if I had just destroyed my own wedding. At 1:55 p.m., the wedding planner knocked on the door. Rachel, it is time. Are you ready? I took a deep breath. Yes. I walked down the aisle to a room full of people who had heard about last night's drama. I saw Patricia sitting in the front row, her face a mask of composure. I saw David standing at the altar, looking nervous but present. And I felt powerful. The ceremony was short. Traditional vows, exchanged rings, a kiss that felt more like a question than an answer. When the officiant said, I now pronounce you husband and wife, the room applauded politely. We walked back down the aisle together, David's hand gripping mine tightly. At the reception, I waited. I waited to see if Patricia would honor her word. The dinner was served. Toasts began. David's best man made jokes. My maid of honor cried. Then Patricia stood up. The room went silent. She walked to the microphone, her champagne glass in hand. I would like to say something about my new daughter-in-law, Patricia began. Her voice was steady, but I could see her hands shaking. When Rachel came into our lives, I did not welcome her the way I should have. I judged her based on where she came from instead of who she is. I was wrong. The room shifted, surprised. Rachel is intelligent, resilient, and strong. Stronger than I gave her credit for. She challenged me to be better, and I failed that challenge repeatedly. But today, I want to say publicly, I was wrong. Rachel belongs in this family. And I am grateful my son found someone who will not let anyone, including me, treat her as less than she is. Welcome to the family, Rachel. The room erupted in applause. Patricia sat down, her face flushed. David squeezed my hand under the table. She actually did it, he whispered. She kept her word. I nodded. I did not feel victorious. I felt exhausted. After the reception, David and I went to our hotel suite. We did not talk much. We just sat on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. What happens now? David asked. Now we figure out if we can actually build a marriage, I said. Or if this was just a battle we both survived. He looked at me. I love you, Rachel. Even when I am terrified of you. I smiled. I love you, too. Even when you're too scared to stand up for me. We sat in silence, knowing the hard work was just beginning. The next morning, I woke up early. I grabbed the USB drive with all the evidence and drove to Catherine's office. I handed it to her. Destroy it, I said. All of it. Catherine raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? Yes. I made my point. I do not need to hold this over her forever. Catherine took the USB drive and put it through an industrial shredder. We watched the evidence turn to dust. You know she could go back to her old ways, Catherine said. She could, I agreed. But that is her choice. I gave her a second chance. What she does with it is up to her. I left the office feeling lighter. The war was over. I had won, but not because I destroyed Patricia. I won because I refused to be destroyed. 3 months later, Patricia and I had coffee. It was awkward, stilted, full of long pauses. But she was trying. She asked about my work. She did not insult my clothes. She even smiled when I talked about David. You were right, she said suddenly. About what? I was scared of you. Not because of where you came from, but because you saw through me. You saw the fraud, the lies, the insecurity. And I hated you for it. I stirred my coffee. I did not want to see through you, Patricia. I just wanted you to stop trying to break me. I know, she said. I am sorry. It was not a perfect apology. But it was real. 5 years have passed since that wedding. David and I are still married. It has not been easy. We went to therapy. We fought. We learned to communicate. Patricia and I have an understanding now. She does not insult me. I do not threaten her. We show up for family dinners and play our roles. It is not love, but it is respect. And respect is enough. People ask me if I regret blackmailing my mother-in-law. I do not call it blackmail. I call it self-defense. Patricia tried to destroy me, and I stopped her using the only weapon I had, the truth. I did not fabricate evidence. I did not lie. I just showed her that the girl she thought was trailer trash had more power than she ever imagined. My name is Rachel Morrison. I was called trailer trash at my wedding rehearsal. 24 hours later, my mother-in-law was apologizing to me in front of 200 guests. Not because I begged. Not because I played nice. Because I fought back. And I would do it all over again.